World Heart Day is celebrated to raise awareness about cardiovascular diseases, which is the leading cause of death worldwide. The day aims to educate people about the importance of maintaining healthy heart and how to prevent CDC. To help shine a light on World Heart Day, we brought in Chief Medical Officer of Community Hospital, Dr. Thomas Tobin. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
So, Dr. Tobin, for those who may not know on the Western Slope, what is World Heart Day?
So World Heart Day is just a time to kind of focus on heart disease across the whole world. Obviously, it's a leading cause of death for many countries, and there's lots of factors that we ourselves as individuals have control over, whether it's how we take care of ourselves, but also then obviously healthcare steps in and we can help manage some of those diseases as well.
And you said some of the things that we can manage. Can you elaborate a little bit about that to the Western Slope? What are some ways we can help that?
Absolutely. So things we can do for ourselves is just staying active. And I think a lot of people, it becomes a bit overwhelming, like, oh my gosh, what do I have to do to stay in shape? But even just little things, going for an hour walk a few times a week. Obviously smoking is a big, or any kind of tobacco use is a big piece, and even just cutting back. I know quitting some of these habits is difficult, but even cutting back can make a big difference. Cutting out some of the, at least improving our diet on top of exercise. And again, it doesn't have to be, some people get nervous like, oh, am I gonna have to change my whole diet? And that's a lot of work, and plus there's things I like to eat but just taking things in moderation rather than just having to change your whole lifestyle. Small little pieces make a big difference.
That's something I'm myself honestly struggling with, putting things in moderations and not overdoing it. So I know the Western Slope could use some help with that. Dr. Tobin, what is the most common type of heart condition?
So I think the most common out there is hypertension, right? High blood pressure. And that's easily controlled sometimes with diet and exercise. Sometimes we have to add medications into that. And then obviously the complications of hypertension come with actual having plaques or blockages in the arteries around your heart. And so managing these diseases early on prevent the more severe ones and the more complicated ones.
Speaking of the diseases, Dr. Tobin, what are some, how can heart issues be fixed as far as medical-wise, and what can we do to help ease that?
Right. So for ourselves, obviously the diet, changing our diet a little bit, even in small steps, exercise can make a big difference. Managing our high blood pressure. Some people are like, well, I don't take my medicine because it's either inconvenient or it's just not something they want to do. But over time, high blood pressure has a very serious effect in a negative way on your heart and on your veins and arteries. So there's lots of things we can do in that way. Believe it or not, diabetes, controlling your blood sugars has a big effect on your cardiovascular, your heart health. And so even though it's technically not, it's endocrine, it's a different system in our bodies, it has a direct effect on our heart health.
Speaking of the systems in our body, Dr. Tobin, I didn't even know this until I was Googling about World Heart Day, that the heart is broken into 4 different chambers.
Yep.
Can you tell the Western Slope about what each chamber does and how it produces?
Yep. So basically the easiest way to think of the heart is think of it as 2 pumps. And so one pump on one side of the pump, it's the pump that actually circulates the blood in through our lungs, that gets oxygen and takes out the carbon monoxide or dioxide, and clears out the bad gases and then gets it reoxygenated. So that's one half the heart, and that half has a top part that lets the blood in, and then the bottom part that actually squeezes it and pushes it to the lungs. The other half then takes that now fresh blood with new oxygen on it, and it takes it and pumps it out to the rest of our body. And so the 2 halves, it's basically just 2 pumps that are kind of combined into one organ, but it's basically just two pumps that are divided.
Oh, Dr. Tobin, I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and enlightening the Western Slope about World Heart Day, excuse me. And sounds to me, what I'm getting from you, the biggest takeaways about World Heart Day is to make sure you exercise and make sure you have a good diet.
Yep, just do those things even in moderation, and it'll make a big difference for your health.
Yes, sir. Dr. Tobin, I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day.